Hello, everyone. This is Anthony with Two Fat Guys Football. We're trying something new here. We've got a lot of content we want to put out, and not a great way to do it yet. So I'm trying to use Madden as a backdrop and a vehicle for this. I know a lot of people don't like Madden in terms of the way they rate things and do their do things and say it's not a great business model, but there are a lot of great creators right here who really help make things somewhat realistic. So, as kind of an intro here, I just kind of want to take a brief overview of what some of the teams have done in free agency and take a look at a little bit of the draft class. So I did go in and update the rosters to the most updated rosters with free agents being on the appropriate teams. And to do that, we're just going to start offline. We're going to use an active roster here that we have loaded in and take a look at a couple things. Um, Full disclosure, I am a Bears fan, so I will be kind of primarily focusing on the Bears moves today, but we'll look at some of the other teams that have been interesting in free agency and have some potential moves that they're going to be making here in the future. I do live in Indianapolis, so the Colts will probably be the next team we'll look at. So um, right now, with the most updated rosters here, we can see that Madden seems to think the Bears are about a 77 overall, which not bad for the worst team in the league, team with the number one pick. Do have to thank the Texans for that number one pick, and some of the moves they've made this offseason have been interesting. Um, they haven't gotten a lot better. They haven't gotten much younger. They've gotten a little bit older. The guys that they brought in have been pretty productive, but there's no real guarantee that that's going to continue. So who knows? The Texans, in our estimation, still in play for the number one overall pick again next year, depending on how things pan out. Um, Sliding back over here, we'll take a quick look at the Colts. The Colts roster, loaded with superstars, loaded with talent, also has a bunch of holes. Just kind of take a look at the top three. We've got Shaq Leonard, we've got Jonathan Taylor, we've got DeForest Buckner, who, when healthy, all three of these guys could be considered to be one of the top players at their positions. Their biggest question mark right now is what are they going to do at quarterback? They have some holes in the secondary. Um, Offensive line might need some help, just kind of depending on what they do. But interesting team, and we'll take a look at them in a future episode here. But for today, let's dig in a little bit to the Bears here. So I'm not going to mess with rosters. We're not actually going to be playing. So we're just going to load in and take a look at a few things here. So just kind of briefly, we'll look at the lineup overview here. So starting off, we have Justin Fields. Um, Not a lot to be said here. Justin Fields is a rising star in the league, and the Bears are trying to do everything they can do to build around him. Players seem to want to come in and play with him, so that's a good sign. Obviously, the biggest, most notable addition was the trade of that number one overall pick to bring in DJ Moore, as well as future draft capital and additional draft capital in this draft. DJ Moore gives the Bears a true number one receiving option that they haven't had in a long time. It also frees Darnell Mooney up to move back to his more natural position as the slot receiver. They brought in Nate Davis, great run blocking guard, super athletic for as big as he is. He is a huge addition to that offensive line. Quite literally, he's a very large man as well. But bringing him in fills a couple of holes here. Um, they've come out and said we'll bounce out for just a second and go into the depth chart here, um, because a few things have already come out. Um, so we're going to slide over here um, and go to the center. They've already said that Cody Whitehair is going to be the starting center. So the way I see it is we will have Tevin Jenkins probably lining up at that second guard spot, which then lets uh, Cody Whitehair become the center. Um, we're going to look at the linebackers real quick as well because this is going to be the way it's going to look. So now we've done that, let's bounce back into the viewable lineup. So just making that real quick change, you can see the interior of the line got much stronger over what it was. Tevin Jenkins, after moving from tackle into guard last year, really showed some good promise that was lacking in his rookie year. So we've already done a little bit to help protect Justin Fields so he doesn't have to run for his life, giving three legitimate receiving options. Number one, Claypool will line up on the outside on the other side. Darnell Mooney is going to be the slot guy. I still think we need to add a little bit of depth at wide receiver in the draft. We'll discuss that here in a little bit. The running back room. Khalil Herbert, Deontay Foreman, and Travis Homer are the three primaries. Tristan Ebner could be interesting. He was a rookie last year, didn't really show a whole lot, but there could be some untapped potential there. I'm just not convinced of it. So for now, I think we're going to focus on these three guys and the consideration that the Bears will add someone in the draft. But Khalil Herbert is a good back. Um, they had real hope for him. Doesn't have the breakaway speed, but he is very good at getting what is blocked. Um, he's kind of electric in the backfield in short space, but he doesn't offer us a ton in the receiving game. But I think this is very much going to be a running back by committee. Um, I like Deontay Foreman a lot. Bigger back, very similar in a lot of aspects to what Khalil Herbert brings. This man has been productive any chance he's been given an opportunity. When Derrick Henry got hurt a couple of years ago and he was in Tennessee, he came in and filled that role admirably. And then last year in Carolina, after McCaffrey was traded, um, he almost ran for 1,000 yards in a half season. If he had been the guy the entire season, who knows what his numbers could have been. But he is very, very similar. I think it's going to be a very much a 1-2 punch. Travis Homer is an interesting guy. Um, he does have that breakaway speed. I know Madden doesn't really have that for him, but he's showed some real athleticism in Seattle. I think he's kind of a special teams guy as well, but he is what he is at this point. He's going to be the third head of the three-headed monster, and he'll get a little work, but I think primarily it's going to be a 1-2 punch of Herbert and Foreman, much like it was last year with Montgomery and Herbert. Flipping to the defensive side of the ball here, of course, the biggest signing, Terrell Edmunds. Terrell Edmunds has a ton of potential in the league. He's going to be 25 during the season. Very tall, very rangy, very speedy, very athletic. He is going to make the middle kind of a nightmare for a lot of opposing defenses. Last year, we kind of got torched over the middle in short passing game and then kind of that intermediate running game. Once um, he's going to bring a lot of that. Over 100 tackles in every season that he's been a pro. This is his fifth year, and like I said, at this point, he's only 24. So this kid has a ton of room to grow. I think he was an A-plus addition, the best free agent signing that we had. Bringing in T.J. Edwards, also on that defensive side of the ball in the linebacking core. T.J. Edwards was very, 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 very large part of what the Eagles were able to do last year. He was a tackle machine. He started every game. He brings a lot of heart and soul to this defense. He's a Chicago kid. Wanted to come back and play for his home squad. And his deal, his contract was again an A plus signing. The two linebackers really mean a lot to what the Bears are going to be able to do and what Eberflus is going to be able to do in his defensive system. Um, Next up, let's talk about the D line. The D line still needs help. We need a true three technique D lineman. Demarcus Walker here could fill that role. He filled it part time with Tennessee last year and was very productive in that role. So I think he's going to be rotational edge, rotational three tech. We'll see what ends up happening. He could be a guy that is highly ascending when given a full time opportunity, but we don't know yet. Andrew Billings, incredible run stopper last year with the Raiders. Um, I just hope we get the same guy that we saw last year with the Raiders. If we get the Cleveland version, then we still need a lot of help there as well. Jack Sanborn, undrafted free agent last year, rookie. He is another tackle machine. These three guys remind you a lot of the Urlacher, Briggs, and Hillermeyer um, years. That's the kind of potential I see in this group. We still need a lot of help edge. Travis Gibson, Demarcus Robinson. One of these two guys really needs to emerge uh, as a true pass rushing threat. Uh, I think we address it in the draft, but it, yeah, edge is still a real question mark for us. Three tech still a real question mark for us. Strong safety, Jaquan Brisker, up and coming star in this league. One of the best picks of the draft last year. I thought he was a first round talent. He went to us in the second, and he played like a first round pick would have played. He was everything we expected and more, and I think he is only going to continue to get better as he gets more experience. Eddie Jackson, not a lot to be said. He is still Eddie Jackson. He's getting a chance to thrive in Eberflus's system, and he will continue to be productive on the twilight years of his career. So, I don't expect him to get any better, but he's going to be a steady and solid influence in that defensive room. In the secondary, Jalen Johnson is great. Um, he is my number one target for who the Bears need to re-sign in this coming season. He would be the first one I try to work out a deal with because we really can't afford to start over at the position again. While Kyler Gordon did show some promise last year, I think he's best suited as a slot corner in the NFL. I don't think an outside corner is his forte, but I think he could come in and be a very solid slot corner for us in the long run. Other than those two guys, um, who knows? Big question mark. I think it's a bigger question mark than most people at this point. I think we really need to address it. I wouldn't be opposed to addressing it with our first round pick. Um, I know that's not a popular thought, but um, if the right talent is there, you it's yeah. If you've got a shutdown corner available, shutdown corners are hard to find. Um, I think you got to take the chance. So that's a little bit of an overview of the roster. So real quick, I'm gonna fast forward here a little bit so we can look at the draft just a bit. So Madden's unique in obviously that you get pre-made draft classes, but there are a couple creators here that do a really good job, do a lot of homework and a lot of research, and give us a very realistic draft class. So that's what I've loaded in here. So we're going to load that in. Um, I hit the wrong button. Let me go back. Madden is not the most expedient here. So let's go back and prospects. Yeah, here we go. Import local. So here's the draft class. Obviously, we know all about the quarterbacks. We can debate all day who's the best. Um, in this humble man's opinion, C.J. Stroud is QB1, Bryce Young is QB2, Anthony Richardson is QB3, I agree with these top five. Once we get out of that, a lot of this is subjective. Some of these guys had really productive careers. I think Tanner McGee is probably deserves to be a little bit higher rated. He's probably my QB6. But the rest of these guys, I think Stetson Bennett probably shouldn't be a UDFA projection, but you can debate the bottom guys all you want. It's really the top five. These are going to be the five that potentially have the chance to make an impact. Looking at the running back class, obviously Bijan Robinson, probably the number one player in the class for most. He is a true generational running back. Whoever drafts him is not going to be disappointed. Jamar Gibbs, very good running back. He's just a very good running back. The rest of these guys all are very good in some aspects. All have some weaknesses to their game as well. I probably have um, Zach here as the number three in the class, Devin number four, and then a lot of these can be debated. I have real questions with Sean Tucker right now. Um, I love what I've seen on film from him, but this unknown medical condition is really starting to scare me off of him. A kid that I think that you could really take a look on is further down the list here, Dwayne McBride. Dwayne McBride is a very good back. He's going to be a contributor on a team. Let's just take a look at uh, take a look at some of the ratings here on just a couple of guys. Of course, the ages are all set here, but let's take a look at Dwayne McBride. He's a little bit older. He played at UAB, so a lot of people don't know about him. I think he is slightly faster than what this rates him as. He ran a 4.52 40, so very comparable to a lot of guys in the class. Um, he showed a lot of really good traits, and I think he is uh, really just going to be productive. He offers a lot of decent route running ability. It's not something he was asked to do a lot, but he's just going to be a good overall back. But you compare him to a guy that the number one rate guy in the class, and he's faster, of course. He's more agile. Bijan Robinson is just an absolute machine. One of the best running back prospects to come out that I've seen in a long time. Another interesting guy is Tyjae Spears here. Tyjae Spears is a guy that I would take a chance on if I was a team. He is a unique back in that he is very productive, but he's had a couple of ACL tears. So you have to be confident in his medical in order to take a shot. So that's kind of the running back here that we wanted to take a look at. Next, from a fantasy perspective, of course, is the wide receivers. For me, without a doubt, Jackson Smith Njigba here is the number one receiver in the class, has been throughout my entire evaluation process. He is ultra productive. He is plenty athletic. His agility scores were some of the best ever seen in the combine. He's going to come in and be an instant impact player for anybody. Quentin Johnston is my number two wide receiver, just as he's listed here. Um, his mix of size and speed and some of the things that he can do after the catch, he reminds you very much of a smaller receiver in some of the ways that he's able to shake people once he's made the catch. For me, I have Zay Flowers as my number three. A little bit smaller, but he's plenty. I mean, 5'9", 182, plenty fast. He's great. I do not like Jalen Hyatt here. I think he is the wide receiver that has, for me, the biggest bust potential in the class. Um, Last year in that Tennessee offense, he was not able to beat out Velus Jones for that spot. Um, and it necessitated an injury to his teammate Cedric Tillman for him to break out this year. Cedric Tillman was outproducing him in the games before he got hurt. Once Tillman got hurt and Hyatt became the guy, he don't get me wrong, he was outstanding. He did a lot of great things. Um, but I see, I wanted to see more. I needed to see more. Um, very too short of a sample size for me to trust him with potentially a round one pick. I wouldn't do it. Um, Downs, Dell, both very good. Tillman, I think, should be rated higher. His only question mark came from his injury. If you are okay with his medical, bring him in. He is going to be a producer for you. The one guy that I like a lot more than a lot of people here is Marvin Mims. Marvin Mims, if you look at some of the measurables here, and let's take a quick peek. I want to compare him with one other guy who's rated significantly higher here. So let's go down to Mr. Mims and take a look. So Marvin Mims, 5'11", 184, plenty big. His speed ratings, he was one of the faster wide receivers at the combine. 92 speed, 95 excel shows that. Change of direction and agility, both were very good at the combine. His tape is very good. Um, his quarterback play was very erratic at Oklahoma. He did not have a quality quarterback for more than just a few games when Caleb Williams was the starter there. Um, but he caught everything. His route running was better than I think they're going to give him credit for here. But the ratings that they gave him are actually pretty good. But Marvin Mims, if we look at kind of the measurables, 5'11", 184, 92 speed, 95 excel, 91 agility, 91 change of direction. Um, the guy I want to compare him to is all the way up here with Jordan Addison. Jordan Addison, 5'11", 173, 92 speed, 94 excel, very, very similar. 93 agility, 90 change of direction. Also very, very similar. They did give him far better route running techniques. I don't see it. I see Mims as equally as good as a route runner, if not better. I think Jordan Addison is very much a product of the quarterback play. He played with Caleb Williams this year. Caleb Williams is being talked about as a generational QB. He was able to make some throws and get Addison in places where he could really shine. Now, do I think Jordan Addison is a bust? No, absolutely not. I think Jordan Addison is going to be a very, very good player in the NFL. I just think that Marvin Mims is a discount Jordan Addison. I think he's being undervalued, and I think if somebody grabs him in the second, third, fourth round, they are getting a steal and an instant producer. Um, so that's the wide receiver room. And then briefly, let's just talk about the tight ends. Not a lot to say about the tight ends. The tight ends this year are very, very deep. You can get a talented player, um, 7 guys deep in this class, depending on what you are looking for in your tight end. Dalton Kincaid has surpassed Michael Mayer in most circles as being the number one tight end in the class. I think you're going to be okay with either one of these guys. Musgrave has a few questions to his game, but I think is also going to be very productive. Zach Kuntz here was a workout warrior. Um, he blew the combine measurables away. Um, I think he could come in and be incredibly productive for someone. He played at a smaller school. Not a lot is as known about him, um, but yeah, I think he could come in and be very, very good. But very much it's going to depend on really diving in and being comfortable with what you see on tape, to compare that to the measurables he put up. Darnell Washington's an interesting case. He's 6'7", 264. Essentially, you could call him an extra offensive lineman. He is a very willing blocker. Has some issues with his technique, but is he's very teachable. He's very strong, but I think he could also become a very good kind of safety blanket, short intermediate guy for you as well. But even all the way down to the seventh here, Sam Laporta. I like Sam Laporta a lot. I have him as one of my steals of the class. I think if he goes in the third, fourth round, a team is going to get a very productive player. and be very happy with that pick. But that's just a little bit of kind of what we want to talk about here. Um, didn't want to be too long today, so just a short video to introduce ourselves, kind of what we're going to do here. Again, I know Madden isn't the most loved thing on earth, but it's the best vehicle for me to get the content out so far. Working here, trying to get some infrastructure, trying to get some things taken care of. But for now, that's going to be it for me. And if you like this, let me know. If you think there's things that I can do better, things that I should focus on, if you have questions on things, please let me know in the comments, and I will talk to everyone later.